Atlanta's streets are buzzing tonight, and the whispers are louder than ever. Fans of love and hip-hop Atlanta thought they'd seen it all: cheating scandals, courtroom meltdowns, hospital visits, even explosive family showdowns. But nothing could have prepared them for what K. Michelle just dropped. A bombshell so raw, so unfiltered, that it has shaken the very foundation of Rashida and Kirk's empire. In a moment that fans are already calling the reveal of the decade, K. Michelle stepped into the spotlight and claimed she knows dark secrets that Kirk Frost, Jasmine Washington, and even Rashida herself never wanted the world to hear. Picture this: the cameras were rolling, the mics were hot, and K. Michelle leaned forward with that sly smirk she's known for. The crowd fell silent, and then she let it slip: a chilling truth that has everyone rethinking the Frost family storyline. You think you know Kirk? You don't? You think Jasmine's the only one with dirt? Wrong. And Rashida, baby, let me tell you, she's been covering more than just her marriage. In that instant, jaws dropped, the audience gasped, and social media went into overdrive. Hashtags exploded within minutes. Hashtag KMIC Hell Exposed. Hashtag Frost Family Secrets. Hashtag Love and Hip Hop Bombshell. Fans are stunned, replaying every episode, every interview, every side-eye Rashida ever gave Jasmine. Did we miss the clues? Was Kirk playing an even dirtier game than we thought? And what about Jasmine? Was she a pawn? Or was she holding her own cards all along? The suspense is unbearable. Viewers can't stop speculating. Did K. Michelle just expose a hidden alliance? A betrayal buried so deep that even Mona Scott might have kept it off the cameras. The room erupted, emotions ran high, and the family's fragile image began to crack right before our eyes. This wasn't just gossip, this was a revelation that could shatter everything. And if K. Michelle is telling the truth, then Rashida's world may never be the same again. Fans are shocked. The Frost family is left divided, and the streets of Atlanta are waiting for the full story. The stage was set on a humid Atlanta evening, cameras flashing outside the studio as word spread that K. Michelle had something she had been holding back for years. Fans crowded in the lobby, murmurs thick in the air, phones out ready to catch every second. Inside, the tension was so sharp you could almost cut it. K. Michelle sat there in her seat, one leg crossed, sipping water like nothing in the world could shake her, but her eyes gave her away. They glistened with the kind of truth that burns when it's been hidden too long. Across from her, a producer tried to prep the crew, whispering nervously, "She's really about to drop this on air." No one could quite believe it, but when K. Michelle leaned into the mic, it became clear she wasn't bluffing. "You all think you know Kirk Frost," she began, her voice smooth but cutting. "You think it's just Jasmine and Rashida caught in this messy little triangle. But let me tell you something, the triangle got more sides than y'all ever imagined." The audience reacted instantly, gasps echoing as phones went up to record. Her words hit like lightning. Everyone knew the Frost family was drama, but this was a storm no one had prepared for. Rashida, watching from home in her Buckhead mansion, nearly dropped her phone when she saw the clips flood Instagram. She shook her head, muttering, "Here she go again, always trying to drag me in some mess." But the truth was, Rashida's heart raced. She knew K. Michelle wasn't the type to speak without receipts. Kirk, lounging in the den, pretending to be unfazed, rubbed his temples, trying to act cool. "Man, she just running her mouth for clout," he said, but his voice cracked. Deep down, he was sweating, because if K. Michelle really knew the truth, then his carefully built lies could crumble faster than a house of cards. Meanwhile, Jasmine was on FaceTime with a friend, her brows furrowed, pacing across her apartment. "Why's she bringing my name up again? I'm so sick of being the scapegoat. If Kirk wasn't lying, none of this would be on me." Her friend tried to calm her, but Jasmine's voice only got louder. "Nah, because if K. Michelle exposes what I think she about to expose, then everybody gon' know I wasn't the only one Kirk had running around. Rashida gon' have to face facts too." Fans online were already dissecting every syllable. On Twitter, one post read, "K. Michelle always been messy, but when she say she got tea, she got tea." Another fan chimed in, "If Kirk thought his mess with Jasmine was bad, wait till this comes out. Rashida, about to be done." Hashtags trended within minutes. Clips going viral on TikTok with dramatic edits and slow-motion replays of K. Michelle's smirk. The streets were watching, and the city was holding its breath. Back in the studio, K. Michelle let the tension simmer before dropping the next line. She tapped her nails on the table, then said with a sly grin, "Let's just say Kirk ain't the only one who owes Jasmine an explanation." The crowd erupted, people shouting, "What?" Someone even yelled, "Run the receipts." K. Michelle leaned back, satisfied. "Atlanta small, baby. Too small to hide forever?" And Rashida been knowing more than she lets on. The room filled with chaos, fans clutching their pearls, producers whispering frantically. This wasn't just shade. This was a direct shot at the entire Frost brand. Rashida, still glued to her phone, stood up and yelled at Kirk. What is she talking about? What explanation? You better not be hiding something else from me. Kirk tried to brush her off, walking toward the kitchen. Man, don't listen to her. She just trying to stir the pot. But Rashida followed him, her voice sharp. Every time somebody says something, you swear it's nothing, but then it's always something. I'm tired of being blindsided. Kirk's phone buzzed, 3 missed calls from Jasmine. He hesitated before turning it face down on the counter, but Rashida noticed. Why's she calling you right now? Her voice cracked with anger. Answer it. Put her on speaker. Kirk refused, mumbling, it's nothing, man. Rashida's chest heaved. It's never nothing with you. She stormed off to their bedroom, slamming the door, while Kirk sank into a chair, muttering, damn, K. Michelle, you just had to start this mess again. Meanwhile, Jasmine finally reached Kirk on his second line. Her voice was frantic. Did you see what she said? You need to handle this, Kirk. She's about to put us all on blast. Kirk rubbed his face, exhausted. I don't even know what she's talking about yet. Just chill. But Jasmine wasn't having it. Don't play dumb with me. You know exactly what she's hinting at. If she spills, you and Rashida both gone look crazy. And I'm not about to let my name get dragged again. The tension grew heavier as rumors began circulating that K. Michelle had proof screenshots, photos, maybe even recordings. Everyone wanted to know, what truth could she possibly reveal that would shake the Frosts more than Jasmine's pregnancy scandal? The speculation grew wild. Some fans believed Kirk had another secret child. Others thought Rashida herself might have been involved in something the cameras never caught. Theories swirled, and the internet feasted on every ounce of mystery. At the Frost home, Rashida sat in silence on the edge of her bed, scrolling through comments. She'd been waiting to do this, she whispered to herself, waiting for the perfect moment to tear me down. Her mind replayed every conversation she and Kirk ever had, every time she let something slide. Was this the moment it all came back to haunt her? Tears welled up, but she wiped them away quickly, refusing to let the cameras or Kirk see her break. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit bar across town, young Jock overheard a group of fans buzzing about the reveal. He laughed, shaking his head. Man, I told Kirk years ago, your secrets always come out, always. Pulling out his phone, he sent Kirk a text. Brr, you better get in front of this before it gets ugly. But Kirk didn't respond. The silence was deafening. Back in the studio, K. Michelle leaned closer to the mic once more, her voice steady. This ain't no rumor. This ain't no little side chick story. This is about loyalty, betrayal, and a truth that's been sitting in the dark for too long. Kirk knows it, Jasmine knows it, and deep down Rashida knows it too. Y'all ready for the truth? The audience roared in anticipation, clapping, stomping, some even chanting her name. The energy was electric, and in that moment, the foundation of Atlanta's most infamous love triangle began to crack, setting the stage for a storm that would leave the Frost family and every fan watching shaken to their core. The following morning, Atlanta woke up to chaos. Blogs exploded with headlines, podcasts scrambled to record emergency episodes, and Twitter was a battlefield. Everyone had the same burning question: what truth did K. Michelle really know, and how deep did it go? By noon, Shade Room had already posted 3 clips with captions like, K. Michelle ain't holding back. Is this the end of Kirk and Rashida? The comment section was wild, fans tagging their friends, arguing, dropping laughing emojis, and some even swearing they already knew. At the Frost house, things were spiraling. Rashida hadn't spoken to Kirk all morning. She sat at the kitchen counter, scrolling through her phone, sighing heavily as every notification reminded her of the storm outside their front door. Kirk finally walked in, trying to sound casual. Look, you can't let her get to you. This is what K. Michelle does. She messy, but Rashida slammed her phone on the counter. Messy or not, she's saying something that got you nervous. And if you don't start talking, I swear, Kirk, this marriage is gonna end on camera. Kirk froze. His usual defense smooth talking, brushing things under the rug wasn't going to work. Rashida's patience was paper thin. Before he could answer, his phone buzzed again. Jasmine's name lit up the screen. Rashida glared at him. Answer it, on speaker. Kirk hesitated, but pressed accept. Hello. Jasmine's voice came through, sharp and shaky. Kirk, you need to get ahead of this. She knows. I don't know how, but she knows. Rashida leaned over, practically yelling into the phone. Knows what? Jasmine, go on, say it. If you got something to confess, now's the time. Jasmine paused, clearly caught off guard by Rashida's voice. Oh, so you listening now? Good. Then maybe you'll finally realize your perfect husband ain't so perfect. Rashida's chest tightened, but she kept her tone fierce. Spit it out. What's she about to reveal that got both of y'all scared? Jasmine exhaled. That you already knew about me before the world did. That Kirk told you everything before it came out. And you played along for the cameras. The silence was suffocating. Kirk shot Jasmine a warning. Man, don't start this. But Rashida's eyes widened in shock. What? She whispered. Jasmine's voice grew bolder. Yeah, you heard me. You played the victim, but you knew about me. About the baby. About all of it? You made deals with producers to keep your image clean. And K. Michelle knows because she was in those same conversations. You ain't no victim, Rashida. You complicit. Rashida's face flushed with anger. You lying? You desperate for attention. Don't try to rewrite history. But her voice trembled. Kirk jumped in. Man, hang up. She don't know what she talking about. Jasmine laughed bitterly. Keep lying, Kirk. You and Rashida both been lying for years. But the truth, don't stay buried. Then the line went dead. Rashida sat frozen. For years, she'd fought to prove her loyalty, her strength as a wife, her resilience against Kirk's betrayals. Now Jasmine was flipping the narrative, suggesting she was part of the deception all along. And the worst part, K. Michelle might have proof. Meanwhile, at a downtown cafe, Michelle met with a reporter from a popular blog. She leaned across the table, lowering her voice. Look, I ain't doing this for clout. I'm doing it because the fans deserve to know the truth. That whole Frost storyline y'all been eating up, it wasn't just reality, it was scripted reality. And they both agreed to it. The reporter's jaw dropped. So you're saying Rashida knew all along? K. Michelle smirked. Baby Rashida's been playing chess while the rest of y'all playing checkers. She been securing her brand. She stayed with Kirk, not just for love, but for money, exposure, and control. She knew Jasmine wasn't the only one. She just didn't want y'all to know she signed off on it. Within hours, blogs posted the new interview. Fans were stunned. The narrative flipped on its head. On Instagram Live, one fan shouted into her phone camera. So Rashida been lying to— Nah, cancel the whole family. We rooting for the wrong person this whole time. Another wrote, if this true, Mona Scott really got us. She knew exactly how to make us feel bad for Rashida while she was in on it. Young Jock couldn't resist weighing in during his radio segment. Man, let me tell you, when K. Michelle starts singing, you better listen. She don't just talk, she got ammo. And if Rashida really was in on Kirk's mess, then all these years of crying on camera, fans gone, feel betrayed. At home, Rashida finally broke her silence. Her voice cracked as she whispered to Kirk, tell me the truth. Did you tell her something? Did you let K. Michelle in on our business? Kirk avoided her eyes. It wasn't like that. Conversations happened back then. But she twisting it. You know how K. Michelle do. Rashida shook her head, tears forming. Every time I think I know the full story, something else comes out. I can't keep defending you if I don't even know what I'm defending anymore. The emotional weight pressed down, leaving the Frost household in ruins. Meanwhile, Jasmine paced her apartment, realizing she had just set fire to the entire narrative. For once, she wasn't the only villain. The world was finally questioning Rashida's innocence. K. Michelle, scrolling through her phone, saw the frenzy she caused, and smiled to herself. And that, she whispered, was just the beginning. The city was restless that night. Atlanta nightlife carried on as usual, clubs full. Music loud, but under the surface, everyone was buzzing about one thing. Not about who dropped the latest single, or who wore what on the red carpet. No. The streets were whispering about K. Michelle's bombshell. Rumors flew faster than the bass could drop, and inside a private lounge on Edgewood, Rashida stormed in with a fire in her eyes. She wasn't there to party. She was there to confront. The lounge was dim, candles flickering on polished tables. A few scattered patrons looking up in surprise as Rashida marched straight toward the back. K. Michelle sat in a booth, calm as ever, sipping her drink. She saw Rashida coming and smirked, leaning back like she had been waiting for this moment. Well, if it ain't the queen of damage control, K. Michelle said coolly. Come to shut me up, Rashida. Rashida slammed her bag down on the table. What the hell are you doing? K., you trying to tear down my marriage? My family? Keep my name out your mouth. Her voice cracked, but her posture was steel. K. Michelle laughed. A sharp, cutting laugh that made people turn their heads. Girl, your marriage been tearing itself down for years. Don't act like I'm the problem. I'm just the messenger. You mad at me, but you should be mad at Kirk. Rashida leaned closer, her voice dropping low, almost trembling. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what it takes to keep a family together when the whole world wants to see you fall. K. Michelle's eyes softened for a second, but then she steeled herself. Oh, I know, baby. I know exactly what it looks like to hold on to something that's breaking you. But the difference is, I don't fake it for cameras. You do. And you know it. The table went silent. Rashida's face tightened, her nails tapping furiously against the wood. You think you know everything. You think you got all the tea? But you don't know what's really going on in my house. K. Michelle leaned forward, her voice sharp as glass. Then tell me, Rashida. Tell me why Kirk been living a double life. Tell me why Jasmine's not the only one. Tell me why you been sitting on secrets you ain't strong enough to admit. The words hung in the air like smoke. Rashida froze, her jaw clenched. She knew eyes were on them, phones were already up, recording from across the lounge. She hissed, "You better watch yourself. Kay, you don't know the whole story." Kay Michelle smirked again. "Oh, I know enough. Enough to shake your little brand. Enough to make the fans question everything you ever said on that show. And if you keep pressing me, Rashida, I'll let it all out. Every last detail." Across town, Kirk sat in his car outside Jasmine's apartment. He hadn't even bothered to call Rashida to say where he was going. His hands gripped the steering wheel as Jasmine slid into the passenger seat, eyes red from crying. "Kirk, you think she bluffing? Because I don't." K. Michelle got connections. She was around back then. She heard things, saw things. If she pulls out those receipts, we're done. All of us. Kirk sighed, running his hand over his face. Man, she just looking for attention. But if she really got something, he trailed off, staring out the windshield. Jasmine cut in, her voice sharp. Staring out the windshield. Jasmine cut in, her voice sharp. If she got something, you better come clean before she does. Because if Rashida finds out from her, instead of you, you ain't got no marriage left. Back at the lounge, Rashida stood abruptly, her body trembling with fury. You want attention, Kay? Fine, you got it. But you not about to destroy me. You not about to destroy everything I built. Say whatever you want. I'll survive. I always do. She grabbed her bag and stormed out, her heels clicking against the floor, leaving behind whispers and phone cameras catching every second. Kay Michelle watched her go, shaking her head. Baby girls still don't get it, she muttered. It ain't about survival. It's about truth. And the truth always comes out. Within the hour, the confrontation hit social media. Clips of Rashida and K. Michelle's argument went viral. Fans dissected every word, every glare, every smirk. One fan tweeted, "Yo, Rashida looked shook. K. Michelle got her cornered." Another wrote, "This not even love and hip-hop anymore. This real-life drama unfolding on our timelines." At home, Rashida collapsed onto her bed, burying her face in her hands. Kirk's side of the bed was empty, and she knew exactly where he was. Her phone buzzed non-stop with texts from friends, co-stars, even family. Some told her to fight back. Some told her to walk away. But all she could think about were K. Michelle's words, echoing in her head: loyalty, betrayal, and a truth sitting in the dark, too long. Meanwhile, Mona Scott sat in her office, scrolling through the chaos online. She smirked to herself, murmuring, "If they think they've seen drama, they ain't seen nothing yet." She picked up her phone and dialed. "Get the cameras ready. We're about to make history." Kirk finally walked back into the house just before sunrise. The air was thick, the silence heavier than any words could carry. Rashida sat on the edge of the sofa, arms folded, eyes swollen from holding back tears. The faint glow of her phone screen lit up her face. She had been scrolling through the confrontation videos all night, replaying every line, every look between her and K. Michelle. When the door opened, she didn't even glance up. Kirk set his keys down, trying to act casual. "You up early?" Rashida's head snapped up, her eyes sharp. "Don't play with me, Kirk. Where were you?" Kirk shifted uncomfortably. "I just needed some air, that's all." She laughed bitterly. "Air? Or Jasmine?" He didn't answer. That was enough. Rashida stood, her voice rising. "You know what hurts the most. Not K. Michelle, running her mouth. Not Jasmine calling my phone. It's you. You sitting there every day pretending like you got it under control, lying to my face like I'm some fool." Kirk stepped forward, lowering his voice. "Rashida, it ain't like that. You know I love you." Her voice cracked, but her anger didn't falter. "Love? If this is love, then what the hell is betrayal? Because that's all I feel every time your phone rings. Every time somebody else tells me something I should have heard from you." The tension exploded when Rashida's phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number popped up with a blurry image attached. She tapped it, and her heart dropped. The picture showed Kirk and Jasmine together, sitting too close in a car, the same car Kirk had been driving hours earlier. The time stamp was from last night. Her breath caught in her throat. You were with her. Kirk froze, realizing there was no escape. It's not what it looks like. Rashida shook her head furiously. It's always not what it looks like. Always. But the evidence don't lie, Kirk. You've been lying. And now K. Michelle, about to rip the last shred of respect I had for you. Kirk's frustration boiled over. You think you perfect. You think you ain't made no choices for this marriage. You knew. Rashida, don't act brand new now that somebody else put it on blast. You knew about Jasmine before it went public. You knew what I was doing, and you chose to stay. You chose the storyline, the brand, the Frost image. Don't turn this all on me. Rashida's mouth fell open. So now you blaming me for your dirt, for your child with another woman, for embarrassing me on national TV. He snapped back. I'm saying you ain't innocent. You ain't no victim like you love to act. You stayed 'cause it was good for business. You stayed 'cause you didn't want to give up the empire. You stayed because Mona kept cutting them checks. The words sliced through Rashida like knives. For years she had held her head high, playing the role of the strong wife holding it all together. Hip-hop. Another added, if K. Michelle got more receipts, it's over for the Frosts. Back at home, Rashida packed a small bag. Kirk panicked, following her from room to room. Where are you going? You can't just leave now. She zipped her bag with trembling hands. Watch me. I need space. You've been lying for too long, Kirk. And if K. Michelle about to expose more, I'd rather be gone before it hits. Kirk grabbed her arm, his voice desperate. You can't just walk away now. If you leave, that's it. They'll eat us alive. The blogs, the fans, they'll drag you. They'll drag me. You think Mona gon' protect us? She's the one lining this up. Rashida pulled away, her eyes wet. Maybe I don't care anymore. Maybe I'm done protecting you. The door slammed behind her, leaving Kirk in silence. At that exact moment, K. Michelle went live on Instagram. Thousands of fans joined within seconds. She sat on her couch, hair tied up, no makeup, raw and unfiltered. They calling me messy. They saying, I'm doing too much. But y'all need to understand, this ain't about being messy. This about telling the truth. I watched them lie to y'all faces for years. I watched Rashida act like she ain't know what Kirk was doing, and I kept my mouth shut. But enough is enough. The comments section exploded. Drop the receipts. Show us. We believe you, sis. K. Michelle leaned closer to the camera. I got proof. Not just about Kirk. Not just about Jasmine. About all of them. Rashida included. Y'all ain't ready? She ended the live abruptly, leaving fans screaming in the comments. Within minutes, blogs reposted the clip. Headlines screaming, K. Michelle promises receipts that could end the Frosts. Back in the Frost home, Kirk sat alone in the dark. His phone buzzing nonstop. He didn't pick it up. He couldn't. The truth was coming whether he was ready or not, and the whole world was waiting. The studio lights were brutal, hotter than anyone remembered. Cameras lined the room. Mics clipped two callers, and the tension was unbearable. Mona Scott stood just off stage, headset on, her expression sharp. She knew this was about to be the episode that would define the franchise. All right, she told her crew. No cutting away, no watering this down. We let it play. The fans deserve it. One by one, the cast walked in. K. Michelle first. Strutting confidently in a sleek black outfit, her face calm but her eyes carrying fire. She settled into her seat like a queen, ready to deliver judgment. Jasmine entered next, hesitant but determined, her posture defensive. The crowd and the live audience booed, cheered, screamed her name, mixed reactions that followed her like shadows. Then came Rashida. Shoulders stiff, her jaw tight. She didn't even glance at Jasmine as she sat across from her. Finally, Kirk walked in. The room erupted boos, shouts, some fans yelling cheater. The sound shook him, but he forced a smirk, pretending to brush it off. Mona walked onto the stage, the audience roaring louder. Atlanta, she began, we've had drama before, but tonight, we deal with truth. K. Michelle says she's holding secrets about Kirk, Jasmine, and Rashida, secrets that could change everything we thought we knew, and we're going to deal with it right here, right now. The audience hushed. The cameras zoomed in on K. Michelle. She leaned forward, her voice steady. Let me start by saying this. I didn't come here to destroy nobody, but I've been watching lies pile up for too long, and I'm not carrying them anymore. Rashida cut in, her tone icy. Girl, you love attention. You live for moments like this. Don't sit up here acting like you some truth teller when all you ever do is stir drama. K. Michelle smirked. If I'm lying, tell me right now. Rashida, did you or did you not know about Jasmine before the cameras did? The audience gasped. Mona raised her brows, leaning closer. Rashida's face went red. I ain't about to sit here and let you rewrite my story. But Jasmine interjected, her voice trembling but strong. It's not rewriting, Rashida. It's facts. Kirk told you about me. You knew, and instead of walking away, you chose to stay and make me the villain. The audience erupted. Some booing, some shouting receipts. Rashida's fists clenched in her lap. You lying? Both of you. Kirk. Rashida's fists clenched in her lap. You lying? Both of you. Kirk. Never told me nothing. Kirk shifted in his chair, visibly sweating. Man, y'all doing too much. We don't need to put all this out here. Mona snapped. Kirk, the time for hiding is done. Answer the question. Did you tell Rashida about Jasmine before it went public? Kirk rubbed his forehead, the weight of the cameras pressing in. He looked at Rashida, then at the floor. His silence was louder than any confession. The audience exploded, shouting, He did. He did. Rashida's chest heaved, her eyes filling with tears she fought to hold back. You sat there all these years, letting me fight your battles. Letting me cry in front of millions, when you knew I could have walked away before the world dragged me. Kirk reached for her hand, but she yanked it back. Don't touch me. Michelle wasn't done. She pulled her phone from her bag and held it up. Y'all want proof? I got messages, screenshots, dates, times, receipts that prove. Kirk admitted to Rashida what was going on before Jasmine's name ever hit the blogs. The room went insane. Security rushed to the front as the audience surged forward, fans screaming, cameras flashing. Mona held up her hand, trying to calm the chaos. Play it on the screen, she ordered. Moments later, the big monitor lit up with a blurry screenshot, a text from Kirk to Rashida dated months before Jasmine's pregnancy was revealed. The text read, Babe, I messed up. I need to tell you something before it gets out. Rashida's face drained of color. She whispered, almost to herself. I remember that night. Michelle turned, her voice sharp. And you still chose to sit on that couch season after season pretending you didn't know. You played the victim because it was safer than telling the truth. The audience booed loudly. Some shouted at Rashida. Others defended her. The division was raw, tearing through the room. Mona leaned in, voice firm. Rashida, this is your chance. What do you have to say? Rashida finally spoke, her voice cracking. I did what I thought I had to do. I stayed. I protected my kids, my brand, my family. And yeah, I knew earlier than y'all did, but don't think for a second that means I didn't hurt. Don't think for a second that it wasn't real for me. Tears streamed down her face. I stayed because I didn't know how to leave. And maybe that was my mistake. The crowd went silent for a moment. Even Jasmine softened, her anger dimming as she whispered, You should have just told the truth. Kirk buried his face in his hands, mumbling, Damn, man. Damn. Mona looked straight at the cameras, her voice ringing clear. This is the raw reality. No scripts, no edits, no pretending. Just pain, betrayal, and choices that cost everyone something. But the night isn't over yet. Because Michelle says there's even more. The lights dimmed, the cameras zoomed in, and the audience sat on the edge of their seats, waiting for the next revelation. The studio remained dead silent after Rashida's confession, the weight of her words echoing in every corner of the room. The audience, which had been roaring and shouting moments earlier, now sat stunned, processing what they had just heard. For years, they had rallied behind Rashida as the wounded wife, the woman wronged, the mother fighting for her family against endless betrayal. But tonight, a new truth surfaced. She had known more than she let on. And in that revelation, the fans felt betrayed. 2K. Michelle wasn't finished. She shifted in her seat, her gaze sharp, ready to cut deeper. See? That's what I'm saying. You made choices. You made decisions. But you let the world think you were blindsided. That's why I had to say something. Because the lie wasn't just Kirk's. It was yours, too. Rashida wiped her tears quickly, furious at herself for breaking down on camera. You don't know what it's like, Kay. You don't know what it's like to look at your kids and wonder if telling the truth will ruin everything. You sit over there judging me, but you ain't in my shoes. The crowd murmured, split between sympathy and judgment. Mona Scott raised her hand for silence, but even she couldn't hide the gleam in her eyes. This was television history unfolding right before her. Jasmine leaned forward, her voice low but firm. But you made me the villain, Rashida. You knew what Kirk did, but you let everybody call me homewrecker side chick. Everything under the sun. You knew, and you let me drown alone while you built your sympathy. Rashida turned toward her sharply. You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to be humiliated? I may have known earlier, but I didn't agree to your part in this. I didn't sign up for Kirk to lay down with you. Don't twist it like I had a say. Jasmine shook her head. bitter laughter spilling out. You didn't stop it either. You stayed quiet because you needed the image. And I'm tired of carrying it alone. I'm tired of being the punching bag when Kirk was messing around long before me. Kirk finally raised his head, his voice heavy with defeat. I messed up. I did things I shouldn't have. But we all knew what it was. The cameras, the producers, the storylines. Mona wanted drama, and we gave it. Y'all can sit here and act shocked, but this whole thing been a show from the jump. The crowd erupted again, booing, shouting, some even standing in disbelief. One fan screamed, "So we've been watching lies all this time." Another yelled, "This whole franchise fake." Mona stepped in quickly, her voice booming. Let's be clear. The emotions were real. The pain was real. But yes, stories were shaped, narratives were guided. That's reality television. And y'all ate it up every Monday night. The audience roared, some clapping, others booing louder. It was chaos. K. Michelle stood abruptly, her presence commanding the room. Y'all wanna know the real reason I spoke up? It ain't just about Kirk and Jasmine, it's about the fact that the Frost brand been built on lies for years. And if I keep quiet, then I'm just as guilty as they are. So let me go ahead and say this. Kirk ain't just hiding Jasmine. He ain't just lying to Rashida. There's somebody else. Another woman, another child. And this time, the receipts are undeniable. The room exploded. Fans screamed. Phones went up, and the audience surged forward again. Security had to step in, holding people back. Rashida's body went stiff, her hands trembling. You lying, she whispered, her voice barely audible. K. Michelle looked her dead in the eye. Am I? Or do you already know about this one, too? Rashida shook her head furiously. No, I don't, I can't do this again. Kirk tried to interject, his voice desperate. K, stop, don't do this here. But K. Michelle raised her phone high, and on the screen was a photo blurry, but clear enough to see Kirk holding a baby in his arms, standing beside a woman the audience didn't recognize. Gasps echoed through the studio like thunder. Rashida staggered back, clutching her chest. Jasmine's jaw dropped, her eyes wide. You mean to tell me I wasn't even the last? K. Michelle nodded slowly, her voice cold. That's right. Y'all been fighting over him, crying over him, while he been out here building another life. And neither one of you knew the full truth. Rashida collapsed back into her chair, her body shaking with sobs she could no longer hold back. The audience watched in stunned silence, their loyalty to her fracturing in real time. Jasmine stood, pointing a trembling finger at Kirk. You ruined my life. You ruined hers. And now we find out you still lying, still sneaking around with someone else? You're disgusting. Kirk's face crumpled. For the first time, he looked small, broken, cornered. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was trying to protect everybody. I thought I could keep it separate. The audience booed so loud the stage shook. Mona held up her hands, trying to maintain control. All right, calm down. But the damage was done. Rashida wiped her face, her voice trembling but strong. You think you protected us? You destroyed us. Every time I thought we hit rock bottom, you found a way to dig deeper. And I stayed. God help me, I stayed. But this is the end. Kirk, I don't care about the cameras, the money, the brand. You broke me for the last time. The audience erupted into applause, chanting Rashida's name. For the first time that night, she looked up, meeting their eyes with a flicker of strength. K. Michelle stepped back, her role as truth-teller complete. Now y'all see why I had to speak. The truth hurts, but it heals, too. And maybe now, Rashida can finally be free. Mona signaled the cameras to cut, but the chaos offstage raged on, producers scrambling, fans screaming, cast members consoling Rashida as she sobbed uncontrollably. Kirk sat slumped in his chair, his empire crumbling before his eyes. And somewhere in the shadows of Atlanta, the mystery woman with the child scrolled through her phone, watching the storm unfold, knowing her turn in the spotlight was only just beginning. Atlanta didn't sleep that night, and neither did the Frost House. After the cameras cut, the studio emptied into a thunder of whispers and flashing phones. And the city swallowed the noise like gasoline. By sunrise, every blog headline carried the same silhouette. Kirk slumped in a chair, Rashida in tears, K. Michelle standing like a verdict. The screenshot of the baby photos sat under a million thumbs, pinched and zoomed, guessed and argued over, while producers and cousins and old friends texted each other with the urgency of a fire alarm. It felt less like gossip and more like a fault line that finally let go. Mona was already 2 moves ahead. She stood in a quiet corner of the production office at 6 a.m., flicking through a call sheet and a stack of non-disclosure forms while a nervous assistant recapped overnight numbers. "It's everywhere," the assistant said. "We've doubled last season's premiere impressions in 6 hours. They want more." "Everyone wants the woman." Mona nodded once, the kind of nod that meant a team was about to sprint. "Find her, but don't spook her. We bring her in safe, we let her talk, and we keep it clean. This isn't a stunt, it's a reckoning." Across town, Rashida sat at her vanity with the lights off, phone face down, wedding ring lying on the glass like a coin from a different country. The house felt too large, every hallway an echo. She could hear Kirk moving downstairs, quietly, respectful, like a guest who didn't want to wake the family. She didn't want the speech he was surely crafting. No promise, no vow, no producer's note could cover the noise inside her chest. She called her mother. The line rang once. "Come over," she said, voice small. Now. Her mother didn't ask why. Jasmine stared at her bathroom mirror with a towel over her shoulders, hair dripping, eyes pulled tight with disbelief. "Another child," she said aloud, as if saying it out loud would change what it meant. She thought about the years her name took the hits, the DM threats, the side chick memes, the tears. She thought about the little face she visited every other weekend and how hard she fought to keep the boys' world quiet. "You made me the villain so you could keep playing father," she muttered, pulling the towel away and pushing her phone across the counter. The screen buzzed with Mona's message. A time, a car service, a contract note. She exhaled, braced herself, and typed back one word. "Okay." K. Michelle woke with a sore throat and a universe of notifications. The live had been 10 minutes. The fallout was global. She ignored the bookings and the fake apologies and the tell-us-what-you-really think texts from people who never checked on her before. She texted Mona. "Don't sensationalize her. Let the girl speak." Mona responded instantly. "You have my word." K. Michelle put her phone down and stretched her arms until her back popped. The kind of stretch that sounded like relief and regret at the same time. "Truth hurts," she whispered. "I hope it heals." Kirk drove with both hands, knuckles pale, eyes burning. He hadn't slept. He called a number he hadn't called in weeks, then months before that. It rang and rang until a mailbox picked up with a voice he used to know too well. He hung up. He tried again. He hung up. He argued with a version of himself in the windshield. Then he pulled the car over, dropped his forehead onto the top of the steering wheel, and asked a question he'd never asked where anyone could hear it. "What do I do right?" He didn't have an answer. By late morning, the franchise's group chats were a flood. Carly sent 3 eye emojis and a girl call me. Young Jock posted a microphone emoji and then followed it with praying for everybody FR, which fans screenshotted with 20 laughing faces. Mendices told a podcast he wasn't judging, then added several opinions. Yandi went live reminding people to breathe. The city didn't breathe. It argued and chose sides and promised to boycott and promised to never miss an episode again. The network's social team picked a single message. Tonight's sit-down will proceed. All parties have agreed. Respect the story. It read like a warning. The car that picked up Rashida rolled quiet as a secret through Buckhead traffic. She wore no lashes, no statement nails, a simple hoodie and jeans, hair slicked back, sunglasses to hide the red. Her mother squeezed her hand all the way to the studio, even in the elevator. Even in the hallway with the framed posters from old seasons where everything looked simpler. "You tell your truth," her mother said. "And you hold your head." They could both hear the audience through the walls. That low, rising hum of expectation. A separate car waited for Jasmine. She sat forward the whole ride, elbows on knees, rehearsing sentences she didn't believe she'd say out loud. She opened the Notes app and wrote 3 lines, then deleted them, then wrote them again. "I was not the first. I was not the last. I will not be your shield anymore." She locked the phone, looked out the window, and whispered, "No more crying on camera." They brought K. Michelle through a back entrance, not as a surprise, but as a precaution. She didn't need glam. She wore her hair pulled into a clean ponytail, a simple top, gold hoops. She looked like truth. The producer briefed her fast. "This person is here. That person is wavering. The network wants you to keep it on the rails." She smiled without humor. "I'll say what needs to be said," she replied. "The rest is on them." Kirk arrived last, minutes before cameras. Security walked half a step behind him without touching him. He had that look famous men have when they run out of ways to be charming. Still shoulders, quiet mouth, eyes calculating exits. A PA offered him water. He shook his head. Another offered him a pre-interview cue card. He waved it off. He checked his phone, stared at a text thread with no blue bubbles, then locked the screen. He walked to his mark. Mona opened the taping with a tone that left no room for jokes. Tonight is not about spectacle, she told the crowd and the cameras. Tonight is about impact. Real people are involved. Children are involved. We are going to handle this with respect. The audience, primed by a day of chaos, settled into something heavy and adult. There were still phones out. There were always phones. She turned first to Rashida. Are you ready? Rashida pushed her sunglasses onto the table and met the lens. As ready as I'll ever be. Her voice didn't shake. She told small truths first, the ones that sting but don't bleed. She spoke about pride, about humiliation, about building a name and then watching it become a costume you can't take off. She did not mention the ring on the table. She did not pick it up. K. Michelle waited her turn and then made every word count. None of this is about hating you, she told Rashida. It's about refusing to be part of a lie anymore. It's about women not being each other's cover story when we could be each other's spine. The audience hummed agreement. That low sound people make when they feel seen. Then Mona asked the thing everyone was waiting for. Is the woman here? The room held a breath. A door behind the stage opened, not dramatic, just a door opening, and a young woman stepped into the light. She wore a cardigan and flats and a nervous smile that wasn't really a smile. Her hair was pulled into a bun. She looked like someone you might pass at Target comparing cereal prices. She looked like a person, not a plot twist. She sat in the empty chair. The microphones picked up the soft sound of her exhale. Mona's voice softened. Thank you for coming. We will not use your child's name. We will not use your full name unless you choose to. You can leave at any time. The woman nodded. She looked at Rashida first, then at Jasmine, then at Kirk. Her face did something complicated at each glance. I don't want fame, she said quiet. I don't want clout. I want peace. I want my baby safe. And I want him to be acknowledged without being dragged. Did Kirk know? Mona asked. Yes, the woman answered, and the word landed like a hammer. He knew from the start. He came to the hospital. He held him. He cried. The audience's sound swelled, and then dropped, the tide pulling back. He told me he'd fix it, that he'd tell everyone when the time was right, and that in the meantime I should stay quiet for my safety, for the show, for his family, for everything. And I did. I stayed quiet and I let my name be called a liar by people who never met me. Rashida stared at the floor. Jasmine stared at Kirk. Kirk stared at the edge of the stage like there was an exit only he could see. Why now? Mona asked. The woman swallowed. Because last night my phone started blowing up, and I saw my child's face on a TV screen behind a watermark. I did not give that photo. I don't know who did, but I won't let him be a rumor. He's a person, and he deserves the truth. K. Michelle clasped her hands on the table. I'm sorry you had to be the one to carry this. The woman nodded, eyes glassy. Me too. Mona turned to Kirk. This is your moment, Kirk. Not for PR. For your soul. Did you know? Have. For PR. For your soul. Did you know? Have. You supported? Have you been honest? The camera cut to him and stayed there. A long shot that felt like a trial without a judge. I knew, he said. No tap dance. No preamble. He didn't raise his voice or try to argue with the edit. I knew, and I didn't handle it right. I told myself I was protecting everybody, but I was protecting myself. I've been wrong. The crowd shifted, 100 bodies, adjusting to the weight of a simple admission. I supported sometimes, not always. I hid. I asked her to hide. I made promises and I broke them. And I'm sorry. The words were correct. They weren't enough. Rashida spoke to the woman without looking at Kirk. Did I ever know about you? The woman shook her head. No. He told me you would leave him if you found out, and that your whole world would fall apart. He said he would tell you after the season, after the reunion, after the new deal, after. She laughed once, a laugh with no joy in it. There's always an after. Jasmine's voice surprised everyone, gentle and low. Do you need anything? The woman blinked. I need quiet, and I need my son to be loved out loud, not in secret. Jasmine nodded. I can understand that more than I want to. She turned her face toward Kirk and let the camera find the angle where the hurt lived. You taught us to be enemies when we could have been allies. You set a table we all ate from and then blamed us for the taste. Mona looked at the audience. This is what happens when a story becomes a trap. When image outruns integrity. She didn't add a moral. She didn't have to. Backstage, phones were already lighting with legal language and brand statements and crisis comes talking points. The network prepared their neat paragraphs. The cast's managers sharpened theirs. In the studio, life kept making noise. Rashida finally picked up the ring. She didn't put it on. She held it between her thumb and forefinger like a question. I have loved you for most of my life, she said to Kirk, eyes steady. I built with you. I fought for you. I forgave you when my own reflection told me to stop. And I am not going to scream now. Not for cameras, not for applause. I'm going to say this once. I am done being a partner to your secrets. If I choose us again, it will be with every truth on the table and a counselor in the next room. If I choose me, I won't apologize for that either. The audience didn't clap. They didn't dare. They sat with it. Kirk nodded, a small, stunned nod. I'll do whatever it takes. You'll do what you should have done, she replied. Whether I'm there or not. Mona called a short break. The audience filed to the lobby for water and stunned selfies. On stage, no one moved at first. Then the woman stood. Rashida stood too. They were 2 feet apart and a million miles. I don't hate you, Rashida said. I don't even know you. The woman's eyes filled. I don't hate you either. They didn't hug. They didn't perform grace. They simply gave each other a look that grown women give when there's a child in the middle and a man at the edge. In the hallway, K. Michelle leaned against a cinderblock wall and closed her eyes. Jock walked by and lifted a hand in a quiet salute. You did what needed doing, he said. She cracked a smile. Took all of us to get here. He shrugged. Maybe now we actually start. The second half of the sit-down was less fire and more ash. Mona asked about logistics, about support, about names on paperwork and dates on calendars and who called who and when. The answers were boring and important, the kind of answers that raise children instead of ratings. The woman set clear boundaries on camera. She said them twice. Mona repeated them once more for the audience. The network lawyers nodded in a little cluster. When the show wrapped, the audience stood and clapped. Not like fans at a spectacle, but like people at the end of a heavy church service. Outside, the sun had dropped low and the city air carried dinner and car exhaust and a sense that something had shifted. Not solved. Shifted. Rashida walked out with her mother, the ring in her pocket, sunglasses back on, chin up. People called her name, some to praise, some to accuse. She didn't answer any of them. She got in the car, took a breath, and for the first time in years allowed herself to imagine 2 futures and not be terrified of either. Jasmine left with a small smile that didn't reach her eyes but wasn't fake. She texted someone from a group chat labeled Girls Who Know. The message said, "We okay?" 3 bubbles popped up. "We okay." Kirk stayed behind with Mona and a lawyer and a piece of paper he signed with a quiet pen. He asked for 5 minutes alone on the stage, and when they gave it, he sat in the same chair where he'd lied by omission and told the truth by compulsion. And he put his face in his hands and didn't move until the lights cooled. K. Michelle walked to her car with her keys between her fingers. A fan called out, "You a hater." Another yelled, "You a hero." She didn't take either. She slid into the driver's seat, closed the door, and let the silence recognize her. "Let it heal," she said to no one and everyone. "Let it heal." By midnight, the first clean clips hit the network's official page. No memes, no sound effects. A still of 4 faces and closed captions that didn't punch up the pauses. The comments still fought, because comments always fight. But somewhere beneath the noise were a few that said things like, "I hope the kids are okay and I learned something tonight." The show's page pinned those. In a small apartment on a quiet street, a woman tucked a child into bed and kissed a forehead that smelled like peaches. "You are loved," she said into hair that would never know the weight of this season. In another house not far away, a mother and a son watched a cartoon, too loud because the laugh helped the room feel full. Across town, a wife sat at a dining table with a legal pad and wrote 2 columns and then stared at them until the words looked like shapes. And then she folded the page and put it under a candle. Not to burn, just to keep close. Atlanta finally slept. Phones dimmed on nights. The city's hum softened. The fallout would be long. The opinions would be louder tomorrow. The brand deals would wobble. The story meetings would be tougher. But for the first time in a very long time, the people in the story had said things that did not leave room for speculation. Pain had names now. So did hope. If there was a cliffhanger, it lived not in a tease but in a quiet set of choices waiting in the morning. What a family chooses after the cameras leave. What a man decides to repair when there is no applause. What a woman decides to keep when she has nothing left to prove. What truth does, when it's finally allowed to live in the light. The morning after the sit-down felt nothing like the night before. Atlanta wasn't buzzing with fireworks anymore. It was buzzing with hangover silence. For the first time in years, the Frost family name wasn't just entertainment, it was a case study. Whispered about in barbershops, debated in church parking lots, torn apart on radio shows. The whole city seemed to lean into one question. What now? Rashida woke up early, not because she wanted to but because her body refused to let her sleep. She sat at the kitchen table in her robe, cup of untouched coffee going cold. staring out at the yard while her mind replayed everything she had heard on stage. Her phone lay face down again, vibrating every few seconds. TXCs from cousins, bloggers asking for statements, even strangers dropping words like prayers and divorce into her inbox. She didn't answer a single one. Her mother moved quietly around the kitchen, placing eggs on a plate. "Eat something," she said gently. "You need strength." Rashida shook her head. "I need clarity." Meanwhile, Kirk was in the guest room, sprawled on the edge of the bed with his head in his hands. He hadn't spoken since they got home. He knew if he opened his mouth, it would only make things worse. The confession had been torn out of him like a bad tooth, and now the absence of lies left his mouth dry and his chest heavy. He wanted to beg Rashida for forgiveness, but for the first time, he realized forgiveness wasn't a guarantee. She could really leave, and if she did, what would he even be left with? Across town, Jasmine unlocked her apartment door, setting down a grocery bag and exhaling like she had been holding her breath all night. The quiet was almost unnerving. She picked up her son's toy truck from the floor, turned it in her hand, and whispered to herself, "We free now." She wasn't sure if it was true, but saying it made her feel less like a ghost. She had played the villain in a story she didn't write, and now, finally, the truth had cracked the script wide open. The mystery woman whose name the producers still refused to release watched the reruns of the episode with the volume low. She didn't like seeing her own face under the harsh studio lights, but she liked hearing her voice steady, her words clear. She felt proud that she hadn't cried, proud that she had spoken for her son. She tucked him into bed again that morning, brushed a curl off his forehead, and whispered, "They know now. Daddy can't hide you anymore." By midday, Mona Scott was fielding calls from every major outlet, TMZ, Wendy Williams producers, even Netflix, sniffing around for a documentary special. Her office was chaos, interns running with printouts, assistants whispering updates, cameras being booked before contracts were signed. Mona stayed calm, sipping her tea. "We don't chase stories," she said coolly. "We are the story. They'll wait for us." She knew she had lightning in her hands. The trick was not to burn everyone to ashes before the season wrapped. The blogs, of course, were ruthless. Headlines screamed, "Rashida knew." Fans demand justice and Kirk's third family. How many secrets left? Memes flooded Twitter, some cruel, some funny, some painfully honest. One viral tweet read, "Love and hip-hop turned into Maury. I can't stop watching." Another, "Protect Rashida at all costs. Sis deserves peace." But then came the backlash. "She ain't no victim. They all been lying to us." The fanbase was divided right down the middle, and that division made the story grow even bigger. In the middle of it all, young Jock went live from his car, sunglasses on, music blasting low. "Look, I told y'all, long time ago, Kirk, messy. But now it's bigger than messy. This man out here writing trilogies of betrayal. We need to pray for these kids." He laughed mid-sentence, but the truth in his voice cut deep. Carly Red jumped in the comments with 20 fire emojis and a comment that read, "Wait till y'all hear what I know." The fans lost their minds. By evening, Rashida finally turned her phone face up. She scrolled slowly through Instagram, shaking her head at the mess. Every photo of her and Kirk from the past 5 years was being reposted with captions like, "Was this fake too?" and "Sis been strong, but at what cost?" She wanted to throw the phone across the room, but she didn't. She opened her notes app instead and began typing, not a statement, just thoughts. "I don't regret loving. I regret trusting lies. I regret protecting someone who didn't protect me. I regret thinking silence would save me." Maybe silence was the loudest mistake. She saved it, not ready to post, but the words felt like a release. Kirk, on the other hand, couldn't bring himself to open social media. Instead, he called Jock. When Jock picked up, Kirk said nothing for a full 30 seconds. Jock finally broke the silence. "Bro, you drowning." Kirk whispered back, "I know." Jock sighed, "You better swim, man. 'Cause ain't nobody gon' throw you a life raft this time." The next day, Mona arranged a private dinner for the key players: Rashida, Kirk, Jasmine, K. Michelle, and the mystery woman. No cameras, no microphones, just a chance to see if anything could be salvaged. They gathered in a quiet Atlanta restaurant, sitting around a long wooden table. The air was thick with tension. Nobody touched their food. Finally, K. Michelle broke the silence. "I didn't do this to destroy you. I did this because truth deserves air. Y'all can hate me forever, but at least now the kids won't grow up in shadows." The woman nodded softly. "Thank you for that, I mean." Jasmine leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. "I ain't gone, thank nobody. I'm just glad the world sees what I've been dealing with. I carried shame that wasn't mine for years. And now, he gotta carry it." She jerked her chin toward Kirk. Kirk looked at them all, eyes red, voice hoarse. "I messed up, more times than I can count. And I'm not asking for y'all to forgive me tonight. Maybe not ever, but I am asking for y'all to let me be a father. To let me do right by these kids." Rashida closed her eyes, inhaled deeply, and whispered, "Do right by yourself first. Then maybe you'll know what it means to do right by anybody else." The table went quiet again. Plates grew cold. Drinks sat untouched. But something shifted in that silence, and understanding that while the past was stained, the future didn't have to be dictated by it. By the time they left the restaurant, fans were waiting outside, cameras flashing, questions flying. None of them answered. They got into separate cars, drove separate ways, carrying the weight of the night with them. Atlanta's skyline glowed against the dark, steady and unmoved. But beneath its lights, the Frost family saga had changed forever. What began as another scandal had become something bigger. A mirror held up to fame, family, and the cost of silence. And everyone, Rashida, Kirk, Jasmine, Michelle, and the woman whose name no one yet knew, would have to decide how to live with the truth now that it had been unleashed. After everything we just laid bare, you can feel how heavy this story has become. The emotions, the betrayals, the confessions, every layer pulled back revealed a deeper cut. We watched Rashida break down, Kirk stumble over his own secrets, Jasmine reclaim her voice, and Michelle forced the truth into the light. And then came the biggest shock of all. The mystery woman stepping forward with her child, proving that the Frost family saga wasn't just about a triangle, but a tangled web that stretched further than anyone imagined. Fans everywhere are still trying to process it. Was Rashida truly a victim? Or was she complicit in keeping the lies alive? Is Kirk capable of redemption, or has he burned every last bridge? Where does Jasmine stand now that her pain has been validated but multiplied by someone else's? And will the new mother choose to stay in the shadows, or demand the recognition her child deserves? What happens next isn't just another episode. It's the fallout that will define their legacy. Families are split, fans are divided, and the city of Atlanta is holding its breath for what comes after the cameras stop rolling. One thing is certain, the truth can't be buried anymore. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Should Rashida finally walk away for good? Or should she fight to rebuild what's left? Is Kirk finished? Or is there still a chance for him to change? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because we want to hear your voice in this conversation. And if you've been gripped by this drama, make sure you hit that like button. It helps more people join in on the tea. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next explosive update, because trust me, this story is far from over. And don't forget to turn on notifications, because when the next revelation hits, you'll want to be the first to know. This is bigger than gossip. It's a lesson in love, loyalty, and the price of silence. Now let's talk about it. The price of silence. Now let's talk about it.